Hey there, it's time for the show, the Tatiana Show, where you make friends and talk life and crypto. This episode of the Tatiana Show has been brought to you by eToro.com. You can trade in a wide range of assets, connect with the crypto community, and automatically copy top-performing portfolios at eToro.com. Quite simply, they have the top currencies, smart tools, low fees, social trading, all in one simple app. They facilitate over $1 trillion in trading volume per year globally. eToro makes powerful trading tools easy. Get started in minutes right now at eToro.com. That's eToro.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tatiana Show. I'm joined today by Josh Shigala, my co-host. Hey, Josh, how's it going?
Howdy-ho, Tatiana. I'm going wonderfully. After seeing you in Uruguay, how can you not be feeling good?
Today we're joined by a good friend of mine from the space. We've worked together through many evolutions of his project. Well, there's not so many evolutions. There's, I don't know, that sounds like a bad thing. But I actually am super excited about the new innovations that they're coming up with. They've been on the cutting edge all along, and it's an amazing team. Rob Viglione from Horizen. Hey, Rob, thanks so much for joining the show today.
Hello, guys. I'm super happy to be here.
Well, indeed. We are taping this quite early this morning, so I hope everybody is okay with slightly disjointed sentences from me. Tell us a little bit about what's been going on, because people who have been listening to Tatiana's show have obviously heard you on here. At one point, it was Zencash, and now it's Horizen. You guys just put out a new white paper, lots of interest in the space on this project. So for people who are not familiar with you and your project, maybe you could give us a little bit of background about how you got interested in the crypto space, what gave you the idea for Zencash, how did it evolve into Horizen, and why are you making these decisions? Because it seems like they're good decisions, but I want to hear the impetus behind them.
Sure, exactly. Okay, quick.
All those questions, just in one.
Yeah, we'll lump it all together, and I'll just talk for an hour. No problem.
Perfect.
Okay. So I got into crypto because I'm just a crazy libertarian, and I love the idea of separating money from state, because I was one of these, end the Fed kind of people who thought that the rampant money printing caused so many of society's problems, everything from economic imbalances to funding wars that no one would ever write a check to fund. But you can hide all that by just printing money and doing whatever you want with it. So when Bitcoin came around, I just fell in love with it. For me, it was more of an ideological thing where this was an opt-out. Unfortunately on that was, okay, I mentally shifted into Bitcoin, and then I said, okay, this is where I'm putting my money into Bitcoin and gold, and that's it. I was kind of like trying to follow the dollar vigilante mindset of, actually migrating outside of the US dollar system. And not because I think that, say, stocks and bonds and other financial products aren't good. I think everyone should have them, but you should also diversify out. Like, you just have to.
Yeah.
So that's where I came into Bitcoin, right, fundamentally. Now, Zencash, which is what we launched in 2017, which has evolved into Horizen, we bootstrapped it as basically a version of Zcash, but we focused on governance and economics differences initially. And then sort of in stealth mode up until this last October, we were building our core technological differentiator. So the differences between Zencash at the time and Zcash were we wanted to change the economics of how you reward participants in the ecosystem, because I don't believe that it should all go to miners, for instance, or in Zcash's case, they also had early investors that were getting a cut of block rewards. And we wanted to extend that further and think about other types of stakeholders. So basically, from like a theoretical economics perspective, you should reward contribution on the margin. And if you don't, I don't believe you have a sustainable ecosystem long term. Now, of course, Bitcoin and other projects have done phenomenally well, and I'm still super bullish on them. But I do believe that you have to think about other types of contributions to an ecosystem that go beyond mining, for instance. So that's what we did. And our first kind of ecosystem expansion was into our node network, because we wanted to have a very large and high quality group of servers around the world running our software, so that we could then do our big tech innovation. So over the last couple of years, we've built out the industry's largest network We have over 30,000 high quality servers on our network. And I say high quality because we actually enforce computational uptime requirements so that we always have a persistent network. And then just recently in October, we launched the alpha version of our sidechain system. And sidechains, we can go into a whole topic on that, but this is our version of scaling. And I think this is scaling in an architecturally elegant way. Rather than try to jam more transactions through a single network, we're actually creating a network of networks.
Nice. Yeah, there's so much happening in the space, and I think this is really an important piece of the entire puzzle, is building networks amongst networks.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, and especially like our go-to-market, and you'll see this over the coming years, we're working with certain businesses that are very high transaction throughput businesses that we're solving actual economic problems for them. And the first case for us is in digital invoicing. And there's a large information asymmetry in certain digital invoicing marketplaces, especially in other countries. And we're providing the blockchain technology to solve some of these problems. And Zen happens to be the gas that's used for that blockchain technology. But it's not all about Zen, right? So that's the big thing for us. And if our idea is you want to do function-specific side chains. So rather than try to do every function kind of in a one-size-fits-all blockchain, like say, take Ethereum as a classic example. Ethereum has a Turing-complete scripting language, and you could theoretically, anything that you could program into Ethereum and have it run on its EVM. Now, for us, rather than try to jam everything through a single blockchain, we would have function-specific blockchain, say a tokenization blockchain, a price-stable asset blockchain, a digital invoicing blockchain, a real estate tokenization blockchain. And the specialization is not bounded at all. And then it goes beyond that. Like with our technology, you can actually launch Ethereum as a Horizen sidechain, EOS as a Horizen sidechain, Monero as a Horizen sidechain. Right? So we're even rethinking our concepts of privacy at our core. So I mean, I know there's a lot to unpackage here, but the technology itself is very powerful.
So yeah, I have a question for you. So you guys have always focused on privacy. If you're working with different businesses and you're incorporating other chains, how do you manage somebody's identity if they don't want it known, or is that no longer available? Because
for us,
companies kind of have to play ball with the KYC people.
No, so okay. First of all, you're spot on. We still have a deep commitment to privacy, and actually, the first generation of sidechains that we're launching are coming with zero-knowledge crypto, but actually focusing on data privacy for businesses, because those are the clients that we're working with currently. But thinking through privacy, so we look at ourselves as a core protocol, and we don't want to dictate the applications of the protocol. So what we're doing is we're gonna bootstrap the system with a handful of useful side chains that we hope that other app developers can take and kind of extend towards their own domains. But when it comes to privacy, we're at least bootstrapping the system with zero knowledge crypto libraries so that people who use our technology can have that, at least that optionality. But we don't do anything with KYC. We're not an exchange, or we don't have Josh's problem.
Yeah. Well, that's good. You guys don't have that.
And I joke about that, Josh. You have a good problem to have because very successful business.
Oh, thank you very much. But let's just go back there and unpack a little bit, because there is a lot to take in. When you say everything can be run as a sidechain, are those sidechains then mined independently? How are they mined? Are they all staked? Can they be, or can people choose? Or how does that even work? If there's another blockchain, what's the consensus mechanisms on those, and how does that work?
So here's the best part of it, is that the consensus is completely generalizable. So we're launching our first sidechain that we're launching with the beta version of our product in Q1 is going to be a version of Ouroboros Praus modified. So basically Cardano technology, we're going to run as a sidechain to Horizen. So the first generation of sidechains are going to be proof of stake, but proof of stake that's anchored on a proof of work main chain network for security. So the reason that we built out such a large node network, a staked node network, is because we wanted this to be a precursor to now when app devs launch their own proof of stake sidechains on Horizen, they have now a 30,000 plus node network to choose from to competitively bid to get them to run their software, and they're already staked. So it's kind of we're building this large infrastructure in advance so that we can actually launch this proof of stake, at least first generation sidechains. Now, our technology is not constrained in consensus, so actually there's nothing preventing us from launching proof of work sidechains. So it would be like a proof of work sidechain secured by other proof of work. And then actually we're about to announce another extension to our sidechain model that goes deeper into the zero knowledge crypto domain to actually provide another layer of security beyond just kind of an honest majority of 30,000 nodes.
Wow. Hey, now you guys were a fork of Zcash, and then to build a better version of it with governance and a treasury and all this sort of great stuff. Zcash was of course an implementation of ZK Snarks, and earlier this year there was a sort of a lot of people came out and said, hey, that there's a lot of problems with ZK Snarks and there's an undetectable backdoor. Is that true? What is that FUD? What was the deal there? Are you guys still working with ZK Snarks? Have you guys moved on? Have you guys fixed the bug? What's the deal there for those people that are worried about that?
Yeah, no, so that's a great question. So first of all, it's FUD as much as I can tell, because our engineering team has not discovered any backdoor by any means, and we still use Snarks. So our expertise, we've actually had to very meticulously build our expertise in Snarks because it's not an easy technology to understand. So right now we work with an amazing cryptography group out of the University of Salerno, NC State in the US. We also work with an IOHK crack team of cryptographers. And we're happy to announce I'll hold up on the announcement, but we're hiring in-house as well, a senior cryptographer. So we have this kind of composite cryptography team that's dedicated specifically towards that. And then we have the cryptographic engineers already in-house, building on it. So everything looks good, at least from the tech that we've inherited from Zcash. And I have to say, our approach to it is, I also am not a fan, and this is controversial, I'm not a fan of having technology that does act as sort of a big black box that could, if ever, compromised, destroy your entire money supply. So actually what we're looking to do architecturally is move the Snarks off of the main chain and put that shielded pool into its own side chain. So from a user perspective, it would function exactly the same way. So if you want to go and do a private transaction, you would click, the same button, go do the private transaction, but architecturally, it would actually do a call to the side chain. And the benefit that you have here is that if that shielded pool is ever compromised, it could never destroy the entire money supply. The damage is contained to the Zen that was committed to the sidechain. So that's actually huge.
Do you need a large anonymity set for it to work, or it doesn't really matter, right? Because it's not like Tor where it's you're in a bunch of hundreds of people, so your anonymity comes from being in a swarm. It's more like that the amount that you're sending is shielded, plus the where you're sending it is shielded, plus where you're from is shielded. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, so you could probably look at the privacy outcome here as a spectrum. In the best case scenario, you would have the entire money supply, flowing through a shielded pool, and then you would just have kind of these random inputs and random outputs from that shielded pool, and no one would be able to tell. Even from a statistical correlation perspective, no one would be able to correlate addresses.
So you still need a pool of people, though, right?
But the pool could also be manufactured in a way. So the inputs and outputs, at least there's a whole class of transactions on the chain that don't even have amounts on them. So you could actually manufacture in a way, like if this were a problem, and I'm not saying it's a problem now because we actually have a very large anonymity pool right now for Horizen, and that would actually just migrate to a sidechain. So we actually wouldn't have any compromise there. But you could actually manufacture. So if you do a shielded transaction to a shielded address to a shielded address, the only thing that hits the blockchain is the fact that a transaction's occurred, not any metadata on that transaction. So you could actually pump out, a continuous stream of these things to completely obfuscate it. So you could actually manufacture a larger anonymity set even beyond like your users if you wanted to as a project. And we're not at that point. We don't have to because we have such a large anonymity set as is.
Yeah. Rob, what's your answer to a lot of people that say, hey, well, any anon coin is basically for drug dealers and pornographers
Good
and
question.
whatever else? What's your typical answer? Because you must come across that a lot.
Yeah, of course. I think those people are crazy, and they don't realize we have extreme encryption on our smartphones right now. So it's just the next evolution. It's going to take time before people realize that it's a BS argument. So actually, and this might be a little controversial, but we actually try to at least put our opinions out there for like law enforcement groups, for regulators, for and the goal here, we work, at least now we're officially joined the Blockchain Alliance, which is kind of this coalition of law enforcement regulators and so forth, along with Zencash, because we want to at least have the privacy industry have a voice, so that you don't have regulators going out there and just kind of unilaterally doing things that don't make sense. So anyway, that's.
Do you feel like you're helping them when you do that though? Because okay, I've heard that argument made, and I think Perry Ann does a great job because I'm not all about helping government learn about crypto personally. That's not why I got involved, because I feel that they are a corrupt institution and the reason why we crypto in the first place. But yeah, how do you resolve that? I mean, do you find that there are some people that are on the side of the people, or do you feel like you're helping educate people that essentially are trying to use that information to keep us down?
So we just joined, and our general counsel just attended one of their privacy-oriented meetings, actually, and he came out of it. So this wasn't me personally, but his perspective was they actually have some pretty intelligent people who are trying to do what he said, trying to do the right thing and trying to actually understand what's going on. Versus,
but do we want them to understand it? I don't know. I mean, even if they think they're doing the right thing, at the end of the day, their status. I'm sorry to take this into like a rampant, like ANCAP like thing, but I mean, great. They understand it. They're smart. I want them to be stupid and not understand it. That might be a little bit more useful, because the innovation in the US is significantly stifled. Other countries are allowed to do stuff and we're not. So far they aren't doing a very good job, even though we're trying to help them understand it. And if they understood it, they'd be like that Ben Sherman guy that's saying, oh, they're trying to take away the power from us. And it's like, yeah, that's exactly right.
No, but I think the more dangerous thing is having a bunch of ignorant guys with a lot of guns. Right? Like, you don't want them just kind of spraying buckshot down range just because they can't actually differentiate between a real target or not.
I'm not totally convinced on that. I mean, I see what you're saying.
Look, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. These people aren't stupid. I mean, the governments they employ, they make money, for God's sakes. What the vast majority, what the majority of people think is money, which it isn't. It's just currency that's printed out of nowhere as debt. But they print this stuff and they can pay people with it. So they pay the best and brightest out of university. So they're not, they're not gonna, go without knowing anything about this amazing technology.
No, I totally agree. And then like my other point though is, do we want this to actually go mainstream, or do we want to kind of just us stick with it? Because I mean, I got into Bitcoin because I thought this was just like an ANCAP way for us to kind of opt out, and that's cool. It worked, but then it exploded beyond that. And now my vision is I want this to actually go to the masses. I want to onboard humanity, and we're not going to onboard humanity if we're getting squashed by every single government out there because they have no idea what we're actually trying to do. And if they lump us with terrorists, like it's insane.
You guys
insane. We
totally
turn everyone into an ANCAP.
What are you talking about? Look at China. Are they our friends? Is it helpful to help the Chinese government to freaking do all this crazy stuff? I don't know. I mean, I feel like by helping, while I understand that we need regulation because we need the industry to grow, it really gives me pause. And I think everybody sees the dollar signs at the end and they say, oh, well, it's cool. We'll just get mass adoption instead. But mass adoption could mean a global currency or something like what they are building in China, from what I understand, something to continue to keep the people oppressed. Yeah. I don't know.
No, I'm not pro regulation. I'm just anti horrible regulation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think it's possible to achieve good regulation in a country like the United States, where they're trying to extradite Julian Assange for exposing their war crimes, and they're keeping Chelsea Manning in prison? I mean, I don't know.
I would rather have no regulation, but I would just, if you rank sort of these things, I just don't want to have horrible regulation. But I would rather have no regulation for sure. Right?
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
The U.S. is much better than like China from a regulatory perspective. It's much better. From a human rights perspective, much better. But it's still terrible on so many counts. Right?
And I've said it before. China and every government really is going cashless, is going centralized destruction of freedom, is going full tracking, ridiculous amount of tracking. So this technology that's come out has actually come out at the perfect time. And Satoshi couldn't have released the white paper at a better time, because it's allowed us to say, hey, you guys should learn about this, because if you don't, and you don't adapt to us, we're exiting. We're dropping out of your system, because this is better. And the reason why they will learn about this is because they have no choice. They have to. There's no way I would choose a centralized coin like Facebook coin or whatever, or their coin or anything else over a full decentralized version.
Totally agree.
Well, there was something that I did think made sense in terms of the Libra coin project, was that Libra coin maybe wasn't so bad, because even though it's owned by Facebook, who, by the way, lost 267 million US users' data yesterday.
What?
Side note, insanity.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. But basically, like, at least Facebook has the guts and the ability and the strength through their corporate conglomerate to offer a counter to the government, which is pretty much what you need. You need, almost like the Donald Trump. It's not the candidate we want, but it might be the candidate we need. But you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I see Facebook and their Libra coin, right? Because at least they can fight against the system and offer a different thing. Maybe it's not good, but it's a different thing. So, yeah. I mean,
and it's still opt-in. We can still choose. The thing is, the network effects. The network effects become so big that you can't choose, because someone demands that they be paid in that.
Right. Well, I mean, if Libra made it easier to get Bitcoin, that would be fantastic. If it doesn't, then I'm indifferent towards it.
I'm not sure if they will be pushing that, but they could be training people at least a little bit about what cryptocurrencies are. What do you guys think of that bad news? 267 million IDs. I mean, the population of the U.S. is 328 million. I looked it up as of 2018.
I think it shows a dead business model, or a dying business model, in my opinion.
I wish they'd die sooner. That would be cool. I mean, I love using Facebook. I'm not going to lie. I like the interface. I don't like the brainwashing. I don't like the selected content. But you know what I tried recently is Float. Have you guys tried Float? FLOTE?
No.
So I've tried a bunch of different alternative social media sites with varying levels of success. My friend Kingsley Edwards, who's also been on the show before, he has this thing. They built it really cheap, really fast. It's freaking so easy. I understand everything. I actually know how to use it. I haven't made my first official post, but I was shocked at how helpful it was. But, that's like a big problem for all these social media companies, because they can't really compete, because getting that market share is really difficult,
It is. I still think that just because Facebook clearly dominates that market share right now doesn't mean that a competitor is going to come out there and blow them out of the water. Now, I will say, though, I've met some amazing Facebook engineers. They have some brilliant people actually working on their technology. So it's not going to be an easy, launch a product and hope that a billion people migrate over to it. It would be a serious effort to try to do it.
I mean, I think where Libra comes in, which is kind of interesting, where Libra comes in is really scary, because Facebook could only lose 267 million usernames, passwords, and telephone numbers, because that's what they peddle. That's what they deal in. Right. When they start dealing with private keys, that could also be what's hacked.
Disaster.
And a disaster. Think about a global economy where all of a sudden one mafia or hacker basically takes down the global economy.
I thought you were calling Facebook the mafia.
Well, I mean, in a way, but it's still, no one's forcing me to use Facebook. What I'm saying is, if there's a hacker there that or a group that takes down the entire economy. Right now it's just usernames and passwords, which is bad enough. It's not just. It's a terrible, terrible thing, because once you've lost your identity, you're looking at 10 years of nightmarish. People can open bank accounts in your name. They can then not pay that off. Then you can't get a loan ever for the next 10 years. Your name is basically in the mud. You have to fight for that. And horrible. Your name's already out. It's an entire nightmare. It's so nightmarish. And this is the problem with this whole KYC nonsense, where they say, we've got to stop money laundering. No, money laundering is going to become so much worse, because anybody can become anybody and launder money under anybody's name.
That's a great point. Yeah, and also, I take issue with them complaining about money laundering, because when the banks are laundering money for huge cartels, like billions of dollars, they're like, oh, naughty, naughty, bad, bad, and then nothing ever happens to them. So forgive me, but I don't really believe in their little, we have to stop the terrorists, we have to stop the launderers. Oh, really? The criminals? You mean you guys? I'd start in Washington. Sorry, I'm like I'm like super anti this morning, but come on, Hey,
look, first of all, I've got to caveat this entire conversation in that we live in countries where we're allowed to say this sort of stuff without fearing for our lives. And pause there for a second and say, wow, that's pretty good. But that could disappear in a blink of an eye. Not Germany wasn't Nazi Germany for very long. I mean, it was one of the most liberal, amazing places before it turned into Nazi Germany. These countries where we're sitting now with all these freedoms can absolutely turn, and this is again why projects like Zencash, Horizen, and other projects in this space that are working on privacy, that are working on freedom based products are so important.
And guys, I just have to chime in here. I think money has to be decentralized. Have we not learned enough from the age of central banks to think that now we can create private versions of centralized money? So I'm a huge believer in decentralized cryptocurrencies. I think right now that's the only technology that actually decentralized currency the way we need it.
Yep. No, I agree. And I'm running a place where people hold gold in a centralized vaulting facility. So I totally agree with you. Where I think what we do comes in is to hedge and have a diversified portfolio, which is something you can't really do when you're forced to always interact in one centralized, nightmarish, fiat-based debt currency. You don't have any choice. You have to use that, and you have to use that in your country. And when you use that bit of paper in another country, it's worth exactly what its intrinsic value is, and that's zero.
Totally agree. I mean, the path that I would love to see is people start migrating into cryptocurrencies and consider them more of a savings vehicle. And sure, we could have, do your transactions that your government mandates you to do in your local fiat currency, but don't park your money there. I mean, that's insane. Like, why would you park your money in something that actually is designed to inflate away in value?
Yeah, and that's why I think Tatiana's Bitcoin jingle, and I agree with Tatiana there, should be use Bitcoin whenever you save.
Yes.
That's not the jingle, actually. Thank you for rewriting it. But you can make it into both. You can make it into whenever you pay. I would still like to see it as a payment mechanism, and I don't think that that's out of the realm of possibility.
No, I agree.
But yes, I agree. It's also good for saving, sure.
Yeah, so what's your next step with Horizen? Where are you going? What's your direct next step in the next months?
So the next big thing that we're doing, we're actually maturing our sidechain technology to its beta version, and that's really the big deal for us. So that basically completes the circuit and introduces the next big innovation, which right now, if you look at our alpha version of the technology, it's kind of like a play consensus. It's not like a real blockchain consensus that you would actually use. It was really designed for developers to get to understand the technology and start, considering building apps on it. But the beta version is a complete model. And it's the one that we're going to introduce our recursive snark technology so that we can kind of obviate the need for having an honest majority of certifiers. So like if you're going to actually have a significant amount of economic activity take place on a blockchain network, you can't one day have to go and tell a client, hey, sorry, you lost all of your money because of this thing called a 51% attack. That's just unacceptable. So we're actually, the next gen of our technology that we're releasing with beta actually obviates the need of even having an honest majority, which I think is the critical missing link for businesses. So that's where we're going on the technology front. The team that we have here, we're kind of changing around a little bit to focus on growth activities, and even rethinking how we do kind of community involvement and like better governance through more community activity. So one thing that I'm really happy about is we're launching a community council, which is now going to participate in governance a little bit more. So we're trying to decentralize even the way that we're governed much more. But like decentralization to me is a journey, not a destination. So it's kind of this continuous path of how do we decentralize in an intelligent way.
Yeah, excellent, love it.
Well, guys, I got nothing. All of a sudden, I saw Josh's note, and I realized that I wasn't on mute, and I was trying to fix my fucking keyboard. So we'll have to delete this whole part where I just go off the fucking rails and completely break character. So Rob, you guys have been getting a lot of support in this space. Tell me a little bit about any kind of upcoming partnerships and support that you've gotten so far, because I think that you have, made some good strides in that way.
Yeah, so we got lucky relatively early on to have the support of Digital Currency Group, DCG, Barry Silvert's company, and then their subsidiary network, basically. So Grayscale launched a Horizen investment trust to help accredited investors get into our coin, which is super helpful. Their OTC arm, Genesis Trading, has been very helpful in partnering with us. And then more recently on the client side, we've had some deep partnerships. One with a company called Interfactura in Mexico. This is the large invoicing company that I've been talking about recently. But they run a third of Mexico's digital invoicing through their network. And right now we're piloting a proof of concept to migrate that over to a Horizen sidechain. So it's very, very big and important project for us. Awesome partnership because they have a merchant network in the tens of thousands in Mexico. So we're actually expanding quite significantly into Latin America with some other partnerships that we haven't announced yet. But things like that, I think, could potentially leapfrog the industry to actually get our technology out there and actually get people to start entering into cryptocurrency, but not trying to convince people to ditch fiat and enter crypto, but to actually solve business problems. And just the solution kit happens to come with cryptocurrency.
Have you guys been doing anything in the Caribbean? Because I saw that you joined the Caribbean group. Are you guys doing any kind of like work with Zen, or what's going on there?
So we don't have a project yet in the Caribbean. It's actually, I personally moved to the Caribbean. So that's why I joined the group. So my family and I have been relocating to Puerto Rico. So
perhaps you can join us at Crypto Cares, crypto-cares.com. No, we're doing
fantastic.
Well, we're doing an event down in the Bahamas. So actually, yeah, I'd like to tell the audience about it. We were going to do it January 5th to the 12th, and we're still doing a smaller event. But since so many people wanted to be involved, we're going to have it at the end of March or early April. I still have to pick a date. But what I'm doing this time is I'm going to go do some recon. And, we already have some established relationships, for example, with Ryan Austin at Bahama Bytes. And he is basically teaching kids how to code. I know that GoCoin is going to be supporting our efforts over there. So I want to give them a quick shout out. We have a lot of cool partners. But what we're going to do while we're doing the recon mission is I'm going to record a live album, like an acoustic record down there. So it'll be a little bit more of the music and crypto side told in a video journey that you guys can also listen to and watch at home in preparation for the larger event. So maybe we can find a place for Horizen at the Crypto Cares conference later in the year, because there's an amazing community in the Caribbean and a lot of opportunities that I've seen for crypto to take hold. I mean, I was just in Uruguay where they have an incredible opportunity in general in Latin America for a cryptocurrency. Bitcoin has a big place there. They have an amazing community. But the Caribbean also has some unique needs. I did an interview with Oliver from BIT, B-I-T-T. If people scroll back through the TatianaShow.com, they can hear that interview. And he brought up some good points about how there's a lot of challenges with the banking system there because it's almost bullied by the larger banks. So, couple that with things like Hurricane Dorian, which we're looking to provide a little bit of relief and a little bit of help to people, when an entire island has no banking, but maybe they've got internet, something like a Bitcoin or whatever could take hold there and actually be useful on the ground, despite any kind of high fees, which is sometimes the criticism.
Dorian Nakamoto returns.
Someone suggested that we should bring him to the conference. I'm like, I think that's a little rude. I don't know. It just seems trolly.
Yeah. Wow. That sounds really cool, Tatiana. I love the fact that you're, it's kind of a video documentary and helping kids program. I think that's really a big step in what I would do. What I'm going to do with my daughter is definitely teach her logic and the stuff, because as I look around me, more and more jobs in terms of the old school labor market are getting roboticized. So, there's always room for programmers and people with, even if the jobs are still there, logic can never hurt, right?
Well, what I loved, sorry,
please.
I just wanted to tag on to that because one of the things that so you guys know I hate technology, hate tech, even though I'm in this weird business. I don't know how this happened. But I always feel intimidated and turned off by the tech talk, right? I'm interested in the storyline. I'm interested in the implications of the tech, not the actual tech itself. That being said, Andreas Antonopoulos, champion, gave a killer talk at La BitConf, and he talks all about programming. And so now I'm actually interested in programming, which is so weird. And so I talked to Jimmy Song. Jimmy has his coding on Bitcoin kind of thing that he does. But then he told me about this thing called Mooniversity. So if I can make it to his thing at Tone's Unconfiscatable event in Vegas during February, I'm going to try and take that Mooniversity course. You guys have sponsored hackathons before. What do you think about people getting involved with programming? I mean, it seems so intimidating.
So, for us, we're actually launching a huge hackathon project this coming year. So we're sponsoring, I think, something like 30 hackathons with Major League Hacking. And we've launched internally something called a Horizen developer environment. So we're actually trying to help the open source world, but also help Horizen by curating dev opportunities for anyone who's wants to learn how to program, but actually start contributing to a real project, all the way to the most senior developers and software architects, everything in between. So we're a huge fan of that. I completely support that.
Yeah. We sponsored Hack Like a Girl here in Berlin, which was for women in coding, and also the Lightning hackathons. And really, what I loved seeing there was people that have really not done much coding, and they're learning with their friends. They're there at these hackathons with their friends who are a bit further down the road. And I would say, the biggest tip for people that want to learn to code, and I can't code to save myself. I can change hello world to get lost. That's about it. But I would say if I had to start all over again, I would definitely just sit down and learn the basics. And the basics you can learn by coding games. I think games are a really, really great start because they're fun. You can really see an actionable thing that you make by coding. And actually, one of the Christmas presents I bought my one of my little family members is a game on how to build circuits. And this is just a great start into programming because circuits are all about logic. How do you turn on a light? And so it's really.
Hey,
I would. Yeah, sorry, bro.
No, if you can extend that into writing zero knowledge proving circuits, we can hire them.
There you go.
What we're doing right now.
Boom.
See, guys,
Drops.
there's a job for you if you try. educate yourself with some little coding stuff. I will let everybody know if I actually do this and how it goes. I'm quite keen to see how that's going to pan out. I think it's time to wrap, but Rob, where can people find out more about Horizen?
So Horizen.io is the one-stop shop for everything Horizen. But for sure, we always encourage people to come join our communities and chat, because we have a pretty cool group of people that are super crypto friendly, and it can help ease your transition into the crypto world and participate in a fun project. Join our Telegram, join our Discord, and just be part of it.
Awesome. Josh, where can people find you? Let's say goodbye.
Vaultoro.com. That's vault as in a gold vault, and oro, which is Spanish for gold. And you can also check me out at Vaultoro on Twitter, or at jshigala, which is my name.
And
excellent. Thank you, everybody.
Means. Amazing.
What'd you say?
That's what Vaultoro means. I finally get it.
Yeah, there you go.
Years of friendship, and now we finally figure it out. Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for listening to thetatianashow.com. If you listen to podcasts on, iTunes or something, you can subscribe to us. Subscribe to us on Spotify. Share this show with your friends. And usually we air on Tuesdays. The holidays are a little bit funky, so ignore that part. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks. Bye.
Hey there, it's time for the show, the Tatiana Show, where you make friends and talk life and crypto. We gotta think and reflect and use lots of intellect with our hearts when we work together. I know that it can be so hard out there, looking all around and saying that life ain't fair. So that is why we will fight and stay up late at night, listening to the Tatiana Show. Thank you for listening to The Tatiana Show. Please follow us on Twitter at Queen Tatiana, or on Facebook and Instagram at Tatiana Moroz Music. More episodes can be found at thetatianashow.com, and make sure you leave a review on iTunes and tell your friends. What's the point of all this technology without a little love in our lives? Our hosts, Tatiana Moroz, Dr. Stephanie Murphy, and Lauren Kasovitz, have come together to bring you Proof of Love. Go to proofoflovecast.com. The Tatiana Show has been brought to you by CryptoMediaHub.com, a boutique marketing and PR agency for Bitcoin and beyond.